Welcome back to the Cash Carter Coffee Hour. Today, we're looking at a crisis most people won't notice until it detonates. America's debt spiral. And it's not theoretical. Economists compare it to watching a patient on life support. Our national debt is now the size of the entire economy and rising faster than we can manage. Experts warn there's a greater than 50% chance of a fiscal crisis within a few years if nothing changes. Not someday, soon. For decades, tax cuts, expanded programs, wars, financial shocks, and emergency spending pushed the budget off a cliff. We haven't balanced it since the 1990s, and instead of tackling the problem, Washington often relies on printing more money. Every new dollar makes the ones you saved worth less. Inflation becomes the hidden tax for debts we refuse to face. The real danger? Investors finally demanding higher interest to compensate for the risk. When that happens, borrowing costs jump, growth slows, and a recession follows. Not because of a housing crash or pandemic, but because the government lost control of its own finances. The UK learned this the hard way in 2022. When one bad fiscal move cracked their bond market in days, the US avoids that fate mainly because the dollar is the world's reserve currency. But that advantage is fading. Major investors are already pulling back from long-term US debt. And here's what hits hardest. Interest payments on the national debt now cost more than America's entire defense budget. Money that should fund the future is being eaten by the past. Younger generations will pay the price with smaller safety nets and higher taxes. This doesn't get fixed until both political parties stop treating compromise like defeat and start treating it like survival. This isn't a partisan problem, it's a national one. If you want real talk about money, power, and the economy that actually affects your life, subscribe and stay with me here on the Cash Carter Coffee Hour. We make finance make sense before the bill comes due.